Hello and welcome to Clipping In. About 3 days ago I made a video of a ride in the area between West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire, and there's a link to it up there, but there's no need to watch that. This video will be hopefully self-contained. And about an hour and a quarter, an hour 20 into that ride, I was stung by a wasp. It stung me twice. Now, with this forensically accurate reconstruction, I was wearing a cap under my helmet with the peak up and my usual riding glasses. And what happened, I felt a small impact on my forehead. Not the first one that day. There's been lots of, green fly and so on, and larger flying objects. And I didn't think any more about it until then I heard this angry buzzing on my right side. And I realised then it wasn't a fly, it wasn't a beetle. It was something more sinister and something angrier. And that's at the point where it stung me twice, and it got me, because it was wedged in the top of the glasses there, it got me below the eyebrow but above the eyeball. It hurt. But somehow, even though I was climbing this fairly steep hill, I managed to take the glasses off, get them out at arm's length, and the wasp either fell off or flew away, but it disappeared. I kept the climb going. I got to High Hoyland village. That's when I stopped, and I thought, right, I better have a look at this because it was obviously hurting. I took a picture with my phone, carefully felt around. I couldn't find any remnants of a stinger in there. I mean, being a wasp, they can sting multiple times and then just vanish. They're not like a bee that leaves a stinger in there. So I couldn't find any foreign objects embedded in that area. So then I made a piece to camera. I knew that I was about 1 hour 20 from home if I turned around and went back, or if I continued the ride, I was maybe 2.5 hours. So I just opted to do that. Now, the initial feeling that I got after 15-20 minutes was my heart rate was very elevated, 20-25 beats higher than normal. So, I thought, well, do I sit at the roadside and hope this subsides, or do I just, keep going very steadily? So I did that. I bottom geared it, and after about 20 minutes, that feeling passed. And then I did the ride as normal, and then I did my usual signing off piece. I got home, I put the bike away, and I took another photograph at the end of the ride. You can see that. There's a slight swelling over the right eye, but again, nothing too severe. So far, so good. I put some ice on there. I took a ibuprofen for the pain, and I set about editing the video. I think I was doing that for maybe 2.5 hours. I edited the video with 2 eyes. I got that on YouTube. All good. 1 or 2 comments on Strava, 1 or 2 comments coming in on YouTube early, and I was saying, no, I'll be fine. This was Monday, remember? I said, I'll be out Tuesday, and I'll certainly be out Wednesday. I've got time for cycling on Wednesday, no problem at all. So I thought. About 8 p.m, wearing my normal glasses, I got the sensation that firstly they were cockeyed, and secondly they were very tight on the bridge of my nose. And when I looked, I'd not looked in the mirror for 2-3 hours or more, I had a look, and the swelling was accelerating at this point. This was maybe 8 p.m. And it was pushing the glasses. My lower part of my cheek was swelling up, and I was very aware that my peripheral vision wasn't what it should be. 8 p.m, what can you do? I drank a lot of water, I iced it again, I took another painkiller, and thought, just go to bed and see what happens. I slept quite well, but then I woke up around 2. The right side of my face on fire. The skin felt a bit like sunburn. That's the best way to describe it. It felt as if all that side of my face. And I was noticeably flushed. I got the thermometer out of the first aid kit, and I was running at about 38.8 Celsius, something like that. For me, that's quite hot. So I was running a moderate temperature. Tried to fall asleep again. I gave up around 4 a.m. Took this photograph, which is quite alarming. The eye was now completely closed, and I couldn't, even with my fingers, I couldn't open my eyelid. I couldn't open the eye; it was shut. And even trying with my fingers, I couldn't get any light into that eye. So I was starting to worry at that point because I could feel a certain amount of pressure from the inflammation on the eyeball itself. But eventually, I managed to, because I didn't have any depth judgment at this point with one eye, when you lose that stereoscopic vision, I walked to the village pharmacy using trekking poles because I was falling over all the curbs and any uneven pavements. I got there and I bought some chlorphenamine, which is a generic version of Piriton. Now, interestingly, in the Strava comments, someone had said, oh, well, I always take Piriton with me, just in case this thing happens out on the road. And that is really, really good advice, because what I found within a couple of hours of taking the first chlorphenamine tablet, the swelling was starting to subside. And by Wednesday morning, there was a noticeable difference. I posted this photograph to Strava because I did a very, very soft, easy turbo session. And you can see, although I still look as if I've been in the ring with marvellous Marvin Hagler, it was improving. And I kept that through. I think altogether I took 6 or 7 tablets over the course of 24 to 28 hours. And as you can see today, which is Thursday, so we're roughly 72 hours now after the sting, just slightly over that. I'm more or less, there's still some inflammation, there's still some dark area there. I'm still a little bit sore, but essentially I've got full vision back, my peripheral vision's good, and if I had to, I could probably go out on a bike today. I'm hoping to do that tomorrow for the first time. Now, what's interesting is that over the years, I've been stung just about, everywhere. The usual common ones where they hit your torso, they land on your thighs, they sting you. I've been stung on the arms, I've been stung around the throat, I've had them go down the jersey. I've had just about every combination. And I've never had a severe reaction to them, just local soreness, and it's a bit of an inconvenience. You just, wasps. I've never had this kind of a reaction. And that made me wonder, does sensitivity to wasp sting, sensitivity to histamine, does it change with age? So I had a little look online. Now, this is reading, what have we got here? I'll put the text up there as well so you can read along. While age isn't a direct predictor of wasp sting sensitivity, studies suggest that older adults over 40, and we're all in this, may be at higher risk of severe systemic reactions to wasp stings. These reactions, which can include anaphylaxis, may be more frequent and potentially more severe in older individuals. An increased risk of severe reactions. Research indicates that individuals over 40 may be more prone to severe systemic allergic reactions to wasp stings. If you have a history of severe reactions to insect stings or are concerned about a potential allergy, consult a doctor for guidance and possible allergy testing and treatment options. Now, why I'm doing this video, I think it's interesting that through my 20s, through my 30s, even into my 40s, I would never have considered myself having severe reactions to wasp stings. But then all of a sudden, after what happened on Monday, I now realise that I fall into that category. My immediate course of action will be to take 2 of these chlorphenamines, cut them off, slip them into my phone case or my travel wallet or whatever. So every time that I go out on a bike between now and mid-October, I'll have at least a couple of antihistamine treatment tablets to hopefully treat the sting. I'm not going to say if it happens again, when it happens again. I can treat the sting much, much earlier, because if I was stung at around 10:30 in the morning on Monday, I didn't take the first tablet until well after midday on Tuesday. So there's 26 plus hours there that allowed that histamine sting to get a grip. And I think perhaps if I had been able to treat it within 5-10 minutes of it happening, perhaps I could have avoided some of the worst of the inflammation. There's also an interesting footnote on that insert, which I'll put up again. Latency time, the time between the sting and the onset of symptoms, can be a factor in the severity of the reaction. I found another scientific paper that talks of allergic reactions after insect stings may have a delayed onset differing from the usual immediate anaphylactic pattern. So again, in my case, I would say that immediately after the sting, there was just soreness. Even 3 to 4 hours after on finishing the ride, there was nothing to write home about. For me, it really kicked in at about 10 hours after the sting. That was the point where I noticed that my glasses were off centre and that I was starting to swell rapidly. So this delayed reaction, you think, oh, well, I got away with that one. No, you didn't. So whilst I'm not here to be a doom monger or anything like that, I think it's something worth considering, that even if you're a person who maybe not been stung for a while, and maybe the last time that you were stung was a few years ago and it didn't bother you, just think about this and maybe, just be wary of it, and maybe prepare for it in any way that you think's possible. So yeah, look, that's the end of this video, I think. Hopefully it's interesting, and hopefully there's a little bit of food for thought there. So for this edition, another indoor edition, another studio-bound edition, that's all for now. Hopefully I will be out with full vision, restored, out on those wonderful Yorkshire roads over the weekend with the GoPro for more landscapes and cycling. Bye for now.